Also, he's got this thing where, and this is something that's really, this is something that's kind of been sticking in my craw about some of the Democratic candidates who are running for president right now. Pete Buttigieg, Andrew Yang, I believe his name is, and Joe Biden has also been coming under fire for some of his attitudes around race and everything. And I know Joe Biden is, people have fond memories of Joe Biden because he was Barack Obama's vice president. And I think right now Joe Biden is riding on the fact that, he was Barack Obama's vice president. He became known as Uncle Joe. And, everyone fell in love with the relationship and the friendship that he and Barack Obama share. But there's this thing with some of these particular candidates where they're trying to step away from what they would call identity politics, right? And it's one of those kind of talking points where you see this embraced a lot in right-wing talking circles a lot, where they'll say identity politics and they say it with derision. They'll say I don't want to get bogged down into the identity politics of it all. We're all people. And it's a way to kind of dismiss the concerns of marginalized folks when you start talking about how you don't want to have anything to do with identity politics. This is a way to kind of minimize their influence. And so the funny thing about when they start talking about identity politics, what they're usually saying is your black issues don't matter, your LGBTQ issues don't matter, your brown issues don't matter, your immigration status doesn't matter to me. We just want to, we don't want to have to deal with the minutia and the intricacies of the issues that you have. We just want to kind of move forward. And you don't move forward if you don't address these issues for those people in those marginalized communities who are also a part of this country. Right? And so there's an article that I found with Pete Buttigieg. And this comes out of The Hill. It says Pete Buttigieg has drawn the 2020 presidential field into a fraught debate over race, warning Democrats that identity politics is a dead end as the party seeks to win back the white working class voters that broke for President Trump in the past election. Speaking at the LGBT gala over the weekend in Las Vegas, Buttigieg, who is gay and has spoken openly about his struggles with identity, warned that so-called identity politics has contributed to a crisis of belonging in a country that has divided and carved up people of different backgrounds. Now, understand this, right? Understand this. This thing of talking down on identity politics is very rich, coming from people who are actively seeking to court the votes of the white working class voter. That in and of itself is an identity. That in and of itself is an identity. When you're searching for the white working class, the people who broke for Trump, and let's also keep this 100. Let's keep this a buck. Donald Trump did not win the popular vote for president of the United States. Donald Trump lost the popular vote by 3 million. He was not the choice of he was not the choice of the American people. He was not even the choice of the eligible voters who voted. He was not the choice of America. So when you break down the amount of people who did not vote in the 2016 presidential election, I think Donald Trump won by a grand total of maybe 70,000 votes in 3 states: Michigan, I believe Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, maybe Wisconsin. Those 4 states, 70,000 people did not vote, or he won by 70,000 votes. Then when there was a lot of people who decided they were going to stay home because they couldn't, for whatever reason, they were willing to stomach Donald Trump, and they couldn't bring themselves to vote for Hillary Clinton for whatever reasons they had in their head. I don't understand it, but for whatever reasons they decided they couldn't do that, and we now have Donald Trump as a result, right? But he lost that popular vote by almost 3 million people. So when you start talking about you want to start courting the votes of the people who flip for Donald Trump, how about this? How about you engage the people in those identities that you're trying to marginalize and that you're trying to dismiss? Engage those voters, get those voters energized, and get their asses to the polls, as opposed to voting for someone or trying to flip someone who thought that Donald Trump was a good fucking idea for this country. How about that? So this, like, when you start seeing a presidential candidate like Pete Buttigieg having issues within his own particular city when it comes to race relations, when it comes to how his police department is interacting with the black community in the city that he's the mayor of. This is like, when we start talking about local politics, that's as local as it fucking gets. When you start having trouble like that, and then you're going to get on the national stage and tell people that, yo, we need to get away from these identity politics. I mean, if he wins the fucking primary, if he's the nominee, I'd have to vote for him. But goddamn, dude. I mean, like, this is the thing that it was him and Andrew Yang, and I don't believe Andrew Yang is going to be around too much longer. But, you know, when you got Democratic, presidential candidates trying to talk to marginalized groups, and these marginalized groups who create the coalition of voters to, in the Democratic caucus, you start talking to these marginalized groups, and then you start trying to de-emphasize their concerns because you want to court these white voters, man, fuck you. Real talk. You don't win a presidential election fucking off your base. You just don't do it.